Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Hope we meet you well. Well, yesterday we were on the building collapse. We'll be continuing with that today because, as you know, there's been some development on this story. The commissioner for the environment in Lagos, he has resigned. Maybe that goes to show the seriousness of the matter to the government. But before then, we'll come back to that and sort of complete what we started yesterday. But in the interest, we have a feature, a commercial feature, in fact, and our guest is Mr. Hassan Usman, MD, Jaiz Bank, as in J-A-I-Z. A fine morning to you, Mr. Usman. How should I properly address you? Is it Mr. or Alhaji or Chief?
Mr. Usman will do. Thank you, Polarin, for having me today.
Thank you very much. Call me Yori, please. Now, first of all, let me congratulate you on the landmark of 10 years of non-interest banking, which is a hallmark of Jaiz Bank PLC. 10 years that this has been going on, right?
Thank you, yes.
Indeed. Okay, I guess one would be interested in the progress thereof. Non-interest banking, not many, some also refer to it as Islamic banking. I don't know how correct the terminology is, but non-interest banking. A lot of people, perhaps who are not in the banking world, might be wondering how that works. If the customers are not charged any interest. So maybe you could refresh our memory, I'm in the most skeletal sort of a way as to how it is that this concept of Islamic banking works, so much so that here we are 10 years after it was commenced in Nigeria, in your bank.
Thank you for this question, and it's very important for us to make it as clear as possible. It's non-interest. Yes, the transactions, unlike in conventional banking system, does not include interest. So lending is not what this type of banking does at the first step. The first step is to trade with customers. It's either you are selling something to the customer or you are getting the customer a property that he could lease. Or you are partnering with the customer to share in his profits or in his loss. So in essence, the revenues that a non-interest make is either it is profit from sale, or it's rent from leasing, or it's a profit share from ventures that it undertakes. So that's I think is the simple definition or the simple way to explain how a non-interest bank will make money and defray its costs.
I see. Thank you very much for that, a bullet point of an explanation, because I think it does make the matter clear. There's a difference between charging interest and partnering with a person with a view to sharing profits upon mutually agreed parameters. And I suppose why this kind of a banking is in existence at all at this time in Nigeria, and as I said, some refer to it as Islamic banking and some as non-interest banking, but staying with non-interest banking because I don't believe that only members of a particular, adherents of a particular faith are your customers. I don't think that's it at all. But it is probably coming from, some theological idea about interest not being proper. Am I right? In Islam.
Yeah, you are correct. The system is open to all, irrespective of their religion or persuasion, because like I always argue, everybody before going to a bank would have been buying or leasing something or doing some partnership with a counterparty. So it's the natural business activity that all of us were or are involved, whether we go to a bank or not. So the difference is that when you don't have the resources immediately, you go to a non-interest to buy or to lease because you don't have the resources immediately. to do it yourself. So you buy on a deferred payment basis, or you lease. Obviously, when you lease, you are paying rentals, and eventually you are buying the bank out of that property. Or if the business idea is such that the bank is convinced of its viability and your competence, then it take its capital into you, and share in the ups and downs of your business. This type of transactions obviously is open for all humanity. It's not discriminatory. It's anyone that would like to do trading will trade with a non-interest bank or an Islamic bank, as it's called. And now, for our own case in Nigeria, it took a long time for this type of banking to come on stream until 2012, when we started as a regional bank with only 3 branches, and then grew from there to a national bank in 2016. And now we have over 40 branches spread across Nigeria, doing business with all people of different persuasions, and growing our balance sheet in the last 6 years at more than 30% annually, and profit also of more than 30% year on year. Last year, 2021, we recorded 43% growth in our profit over 2020. So the system has started to get traction, and as you are aware, the type of product we are offering now has now been adopted even by the federal government in its fundraising to do infrastructure. The good thing about non-interest banking is that you are more likely to have discipline in the use of the funds, because transactions are asset-backed. They are related to a particular activity, business activity, something that will create utility or create some value. It's not like an OD that can be used or misused, or a bond that it can be raised by a government that can also be applied to something that may not necessarily create maximum value for society. In the case of Nigeria, we've done Sukuk, 4 offerings, and all are related to providing infrastructure, specifically developing roads that, we are in dire need for this country. Most of our roads are in bad condition. So these resources are raised and used specifically to develop these roads. So you see public finance see more discipline in that, because these funds are curated and sterilized for that particular purpose. You cannot misuse it. You cannot misapply them. They have to be done in line with the document that you use to issue the Sukuk, because those were the covenants that you took to raise the funds, so they have to be used for that purpose. So overall, we argue that non-interest banking tend to be more conservative, more disciplined in the utilization of resources, and also in the long run create more value for society. Indeed.
And just from the explanation that you are giving to us, Mr. Usman, I was just wondering why we don't hear a lot more of Jaiz Bank in terms of recruitment. All the other banks, a lot of the other banks, you see promotions all over the place. They're looking for customers. Is it because of the strong emphasis on partnering with business-minded depositors? This whole matter about making it easy to become a customer of a given bank. Some banks even have a zero balance account opening, that kind of a thing. The way you can have a savings account in other banks as well as a current account, does it work like that with Jaiz Bank as well?
Yeah, it's the same. We use the same technologies. We provide a platform for our customers or prospective customers to open an account with us online. They also can do so in our branches. We have the same type of technologies. We do ATMs, we do mobile banking, internet banking. I think what is happening is that you have 25 other banks that are selling the same type of products, and you have just 1 or 2 that are doing non-interest. So but we are coming up very fast, and certainly you will hear much more about non-interest banking. As we grow the business
as we
get
grow
to the mainstream.
You know,
God willing.
God willing.
I think it's a question of that you have much more conventional banks than non-interest, so you don't hear much as you would with our own type of product, but it's gaining traction. As I said, the growth is also very fast over the last couple of years.
Well, that's sort of very, very interesting to know. But it's still, to me, what I've taken out of your explanation is the aspect of it that you said, interest, no. Participation, let's work together and then share profits upon agreed lines, yes. That, I think, is that's where the whole business aspect, for me, correct me if I'm wrong, the business emphasis comes in, so that a savings account, the way we've been taught from school about savings accounts is that you deposit, you get interest, your savings grow. That's not quite the way it is with your bank. Or any non-Islamic bank. Okay. Now, something exciting that you spoke about. Sure.
You're right. In the non-interest system, you don't have a contract to be paid a particular return. You have a contract to be paid a proportion of the profit. So you don't have an absolute figure from the word go. But our returns are very competitive, in fact, sometimes better than what you get in conventional, because once we agree that we will share a 50-50 or 60-40 profit, once the profit is made, you get that share. We don't have the leeway to reduce it because the market rate is 1% so on savings. So if we make 4%, on your deposit, on the savings, we give you that 4%. We don't have the leeway to reduce it because we have a contract to share a portion of the profit, and that's how it works. At the end of the day, I think the system is done in a way that the bank and customer share risk. Risk is not transferred to the customer alone. The bank has to take some commercial risk in order to benefit from making a profit or gaining on a transaction.
Well, this is very interesting to be hearing about. There are those who know it already because you have many customers, many depositors who are thoroughly aware of how it works in there. But you did say something that you expect, looking at the trajectory, and you've also given an indication that it's been a sort of a positive development along the line. You see that, what is going to happen here is that, I beg your, sorry about that. So I was saying that you see a situation where there are going to be more such bankers joining the fold as we go ahead. Is that
yes, indeed.
That there will be more Islamic.
We were licensed in 2011. We have more licenses issued. We have 2 full-fledged banks additional that have been licensed. One more is coming on. I think they have an approval in principle. So perhaps before the end of this year, you will have at least 4 full-fledged non-interest banks. And we expect some more to come on board, either as windows of existing conventional banks or standalone banks that would be lasting. This sector will grow We believe a minimum at about 20% annually over the next couple of years.
Okay. Now, I wish we had a lot more time, but because it's been quite interesting, especially if you've not heard about, not been able to hear from an expert about Islamic banking. Just this little snippet sort of gives one, at least it removes one from the position of ignorance to knowing a little bit about how it works. Is there any other thing you thought that could be of benefit to our viewers to know before we close this session?
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I thank viewers for viewing this program and being with us to understand this type of banking model. It is open to all, irrespective of their persuasion, tribe, or it does not discriminate. It's just a form of business that try to share risk and therefore the return arising from. We don't discriminate either in terms of onboarding customers or staff or those who service us as vendors. We are Nigerians. We work with all parties to develop and grow the business for the benefit of all of us Nigerians.
Thank you very much. And is there a Jaiz bank in every state of the country now? Is that still a work in progress?
It's work in progress, but we have in most of the states, a few areas we have not covered. They are also in our program.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for making time for us, Mr. Hassan Usman, CEO of Jaiz Bank. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me
Indeed.
this morning.
Our pleasure.